Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar with Cannaponics. My name is Emily McFarlane, and I am the Senior Campaign Lead here at Birchal. And just before I introduce Kenneth and Rod, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land from which I am beaming to you from today. So Birchal is based in the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and we repay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. Today, I'm joined by Kenneth and Rod from Cannaponics. So Birchal's working with the team at Cannaponics on their upcoming crowdsource funding offer. A few of you might be unfamiliar with crowdsource funding, or CSF. It's also known as equity crowdfunding, and it's a relatively new form of fundraising here in Australia that allows startups and small businesses to raise capital from a large number of smaller or retail investors, as well as wholesale and sophisticated investors through an online platform such as Birchal. So you might be familiar with other forms of fundraising, such as venture capital or bank loans. This is essentially another form of fundraising, and it's where companies can turn to the general public, often their communities, to raise money in exchange for equity in their business. Birchal Financial Services are going to be the licensed intermediary for the offer, and I will remind everybody on this webinar today that the information and discussion is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as advice or a recommendation to invest. So please do your own research and always consider the general CSF risk warning and offer document before investing. If you do need any more information or have any questions, please head to birchal.com. Now, today's session, Kenneth and Rod are going to take us through a little presentation all about Cannaponics, where they've come from, what they're looking to achieve with the capital raise, and what the future will look like for investors, and then we'll switch to a Q&A session. So if you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see a little Q&A bubble, and if you have any questions during today's session, please pop it in the Q&A box as we go along, and we'll answer these during question time at the end. We're also recording today's session, so if you do have to jump off early, a recording will be sent around. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Kenneth and Rod.
Thanks, Emily. My name's Rod Zakselski, and I'm joined with Kenneth Langford, Director of Cultivation. Yeah, welcome, Cannaponics. We stand on our three pillars, basically, people, planet, profits, and basically we're all about making people's lives better by not only building this brand new industry in Australia, but by making medicine and helping to have better outcomes with patients. We have a strong social equity push. Most of our site is based upon renewables with water harvesting technology and also solar, and we really want to push forward invoke emotions with our profits to change the way businesses are done today for a better, brighter future tomorrow. We are the Feel Great company. We're Australian owned and fully Australian grown right here in Western Australia. And I'll hand over to Kenneth.
Yeah, how's everybody going? Look, it's exciting to be here with everybody again, and I appreciate that this is a Q&A session for the most part. And so I'm going to be as quick as I can, just run you through this to give you guys some background for anybody who doesn't know about Cannaponics. Yes, we were the Feel Good company last year in our first Birchal raise. We're moving towards a Feel Great company with all the things that are going on. So yeah, we'll just run through who we are, where we've been. So last year, like I said, we did a record-breaking campaign. So we're one of only two companies, I think, to hit the $5 million target. We raised more than any cannabis company on the crowdsource funding platform than anybody. And your support has been tremendous, and we're grateful for it. And yeah, we're here to get some more support from the community to keep this project moving. What is the secret to our success? Simplistically, I mean, our message of people, planet, profits has a lot of gravitas to it. And everybody understands sustainability and working for a cleaner planet and putting patients first. All those things are wonderful. We do that in an effort to generate the best profits and returns for our shareholders so that we can fuel that philosophy moving forward. But most importantly, I think what's resonating with everybody right now is we are Australian owned and Australian grown. And I know that sounds a bit weird coming from a Canadian accented person, but I moved my family over here to not only engage in this project, but to become an Australian myself. And wonderfully, in June, I can apply for permanent residency status. And then it's only a matter of time before we tick all the boxes and the dominoes fall and we can achieve Australian citizenship. So Australian owned, Australian grown. We've been joking lately here at Cannaponics. The only thing that we import as a company is experience.
Yes.
Since that successful raise that I talked about, we've made significant progress. We've, erected our 2,000 square meter advanced manufacturing facility. We outfitted our greenhouse with, all the shade and blackout curtains. Our lights are on site. We've got tables, benches built. We've craned in some of our big technology. Our comprehensive earthworks package culminating in our 15 million liter dam, which is built, finished, and full. That represents over a year's supply of water. So if we didn't get a single drop of rain from Mother Nature, we could handle both our 1 acre greenhouse, our outdoor expansion, and be watered for a full calendar year, no problem. One of the other things that separates us is the advanced technology that we've purchased. So we're embracing revolutionary technology, from our advanced N-Wave dryer to our single pass cryoethanol extraction DevX 100 extraction machine. We can do a lot of things in a leaner way than some of the companies that exist. And it's been one of the founding pillars of what Cannaponics has going on. Sustainable and circular economy. So I talked about that people, planet, profits. Currently, our site is 100% solar and battery powered. I think we're one of the few, if not the only, companies worldwide that can say that. We have our equipment, or at least most of the equipment has shown up to build our 1 megawatt solar farm. And yeah, like I said, our 15 million liter dam, we rely on Mother Nature to replenish our water. So sustainable, circular economy, renewable, clean, green, all of those things. Again, resounding with what we're doing here at Cannaponics. Future proofing. We're also looking at exploring new revenue streams, the way that we can take other parts of the plant that currently aren't being utilized. One of the things that, because of our efficiency, because of our technology, because of our different approach and methodology, we can have, we not only have the space and capacity, but we have the ability to turn waste products and portions of the plant into new revenue streams moving forward, which sets us up well for return on investment. The Cannaponics team, our team continues to grow. We've added key members. Our head of regulations, Lee Seat, she is industry experienced. She was one of the first movers in the space with a first licensed company here, knows the regulations in and out, helps keep Cannaponics on the right path through the regulations. We also have Hang Chui, who's a master of biotechnology, works at the University of Western Australia. He's really going to be a mentor for our team in pushing, advanced cannabis formulations forward into the future. This has stopped moving. There we go. Global market trends, they're all trending in a positive direction for Cannaponics. So the US recently reclassified cannabis. So they're well on their way to getting things figured out and becoming one of the largest consumption markets in the world. Germany has changed their regulations, making access easier. And so there's a massive demand for EU GMP certified product to go into Germany. Asia is waking up. Japan is looking at CBD. Some other Asian countries are coming on board. One of the wonderful things for Cannaponics is, because of the hesitancy towards, euphoric medication, the THC side of the cannabis per se. So Asian countries tend to lean towards the CBD as a medicine. And so because of our advanced technologies, we can offer some new unique delivery systems that are going to play well for Cannaponics demand worldwide. But let's just drill down to some of the specifics. So our project timeframe over the next 12 months, we expect to complete the construction of our greenhouse and manufacturing facility, complete EU GMP validation of our facility and equipment. This will allow us to manufacture and produce the world-class products at scale that we've been talking about. Plant our first crop from seed following our validation, which should happen towards the end of August. Begin contract manufacturing within that GMP validated facility. Begin commercial production and distribution of premium flower and oil by early 2025. And our expectation is we will be delivering on our pledge to deliver premium, sustainably grown medicinal cannabis at scale by the end of this year. Once fully operational, we'll have the capacity to grow up to 50% of our total annual demand for medicinal cannabis here in Australia. That's based on Australian prescriptions predicted to reach the 60, is it
We've got 60 tons.
60 tons? Sorry. Thank you. The commercial outlook, our expertise, technology, and renewables means we can expect one of the lowest cost of goods. That's always been our thing. We're beating the drum, low cost of goods. Because we can reduce costs, we can be competitive in a worldwide market. We also are ensuring our product quality and consistency while doing that. We achieve that by, like we've talked about 100 times, harvesting and storing our own rainwater in our 15 million liter dam, reduce our costs with 100% renewable energy sources. Our extraction machinery technology, we're capable because it's single pass of producing 7,000 bottles of broad spectrum oil in a single 8-hour shift. Our outdoor crop, once we bring that on board, that will further lower our costs and also expand our offerings, and as well as bring some other people into the fold that really want that living soil, outdoor, sun-grown, organic medicinal experience. We've solidified some lucrative contracts with 2 of Australia's largest cannabis wholesalers. We've secured extensive offtake agreements, to effectively be, as we've said from day 5, that we're sold out. The outlook is significant, spectacular. That's basically it, aside from if you want to do.
Yeah, thanks, Kenneth. And it's always an honor and it's gratifying being, obviously the founder of the company and having our team so passionate about what we do that every single person that's involved in the company is an actual shareholder, and they're all as passionate as Kenneth. So it's a fantastic place to be working, and an opportunity here right now for everyone out there to be a part of our team. We'll take questions now, but appreciate everyone for listening to myself and Kenneth, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, and I apologize if that was quick or clumsy, but again, just wanted to get through some of the information so that we can take as many questions as we can.
No, you did a fantastic job. Thank you so much. I think that was really insightful and amazing to see the steps that you've taken since your raise around about this time last year. And we've actually got a few investors from your last raise online who have asked some great questions. So as a current investor, how does this affect those who came on board last year?
Yeah, well, first of all, we appreciate the current shareholders and new shareholders as well. But I mean, for us with this next raise, we expect the buying to be a little higher, so their investment has improved. But not only that, you've only got to whether it's have a look physically, but see from all the videos and the updates and whatnot, we've spent the money wisely, and we're some 5-6 months out from having the full facility completed. So the money has gone to a good cause. And for us, it's getting the project closer to completion.
Awesome. Thank you. So obviously you maxed out in your last raise at $5 million. Some people might have assumed from this that it would enable the project to be completed and start production. Do you have an indication of how much more you will need to be able to start operations?
Yeah, so as far as from how much should we raise in this round? Is it the question?
That's all the background I got from that question, but perhaps that's where it's angling towards.
Yeah, for sure. So this round of funding here, well, we expect to have the project completed and permits locked in by the next 5 to 6 months. There'll be no more raises after this raise, so which is a positive outcome for everybody.
Fantastic. So at the moment, can you give a little bit of flavor as to how the two of you met and how you work together?
Yeah, for sure. There's a long version and a short version, but I was in New Orleans many years ago before COVID on a expedition to explore the industry, and I met a professor by the name of Eric Mathers, and one of his close associates knew Kenneth, but at the time, and I'm still good friends with Eric, and he's still part of the company and helping us navigate certain areas. But fast forward 6 to 12 months from that first meeting, the circle that Eric was in had contacts that knew Kenneth, and then basically they said, "Oh, do you want to meet these guys from Perth?" And Kenneth was almost in retirement, weren't you?
Yeah, funny. So I was in Canada and I got a call from my mate. His name's Ian Jenkins. He works very closely with Eric Mather, saying, "Look, you got to check out these Cannaponics guys and whatever." And I was like, "Nah, I don't want to. I don't want to." Anyway, to shorten this, he finally sent me a video about Cannaponics, and I watched the video, and they said People Planet Profits, and I thought, that's interesting because I've heard the bullshit. Oh, pardon me. I'm sorry. I've heard the nonsense about people and planet being put first, but Rod was actually saying profits, which are essential to run any business, as you know. And because he was putting that profits right out there in the open, I thought, you know what? At least on some level, he's honest. He's honest about what he wants to do. And so I looked into the project, and from my perspective and my experience in Canada, 165 acres that we have, building the 15 million liter dam to bring down the cost of water, building out a solar farm to 60+% subsidize our power costs. Plus, we're using the broad spectrum, intensely powerful Western Australian sun. It is mind-boggling the advantages we have over the rest of the world here in Australia. And Australians should already know it, because in Canada, we import oranges from California and Florida. We import avocados from Mexico. We import bananas from Guatemala. We import olives from, I don't know, wherever our olives come from. I think mostly Greece and Spain, but as being a bit facetious. But Australians know that we grow all those things here, and we grow them well. They're fantastic. So, to see the state of the cannabis industry a couple of years ago when I met Rod, and what's happening in Australia, and it's all imported and blah, blah, blah. No, mate, we can do it better. There's a better way. There's a local way. It's better for Australians. It's better for Australian patients.
And add more color to the question. And then we obviously met each other. Then we obviously sponsored Kenneth and his family to come out here. And even in the early stages, Kenneth was invested straight away in the company. And like he said earlier in this conversation here, he'll go for citizenship when this year or next year?
Permanent residency this year. And then I don't know, I have to look into what the steps are from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not leaving unless you make me.
Yeah. So it's 23 years growing medical cannabis. We believe we've got one of the most experienced cultivators in the world, and the team he has around him, we were laughing the other day, it's almost 100 years of growing experience in growing cannabis. So we're very fortunate to have him and his family here in Australia.
It's pretty huge to think about that, and it's great to have such an incredible team behind you, particularly ones with such intense experience around it. So in terms of the seedlings that you're working with, are you doing clone seedlings, or are you doing just seeds that you're growing yourselves? What kind of product will you be looking towards?
So from a sanitation perspective, it's a lot better for us, and it's a lot more responsible for us to bring in seeds, because you can sterilize them before we pop them. And then we will do some extensive phenotype hunting. But again, like the drum that we've been beating from the beginning is, we're a solution in the space. And so genetics will largely be determined by what our customers and or patients want grown for them. But yeah, they'll all come from seed, and then we'll do the pheno hunting. And then of course, moving forward, all the dry flower will have to come from clones, because you have to clone in order to have that same medicinal profile provided by all the plants that you're harvesting in a batch or a lot. So yeah, it'll be started from seed and then produced from clone.
Perfect. Thank you. So a few people have asked a few questions surrounding future forecasts and return on investment. So I can answer this one. So through crowdsource funding, there are various events or ways that you may be able to make a return on your investment in the future. For example, if the company undertakes an IPO and lists on a securities exchange, or if the company undertakes an exit event, such as a sale of the company, along those lines. However, at this early stage, it's not reasonable for a company to predict when any of these options might eventuate, or what the return on investment might be. So we always recommend that you read the company's constitution and CSF offer document really carefully, just so you can understand the terms of the offer and the investment opportunity and associated risks. You should also review any additional company material. And these webinars are always a really great place to learn about the company going forward. And you can always reach out to the company with any questions you might have. But I hope that clears a little bit of that up. So at the moment, obviously, you've gone to the effort of building the dam so that you've got this water coming in a constant stream. Are there any other environmental or climate risks that might affect the business?
Not that I'm aware of here in WA. I mean, drought would be the most significant factor. And again, just we're redundant in the fact that our dam is full. If we don't get a drop of rainwater, we're good for a year. But let's say we didn't get a drop of rainwater in a full calendar year, 1.5 Ks away from our property is a 30 liter a second bore that we have been graciously given access to, so we can refill that dam at our convenience. So yeah, we're fine there, and we're not subject to major earthquakes, and there aren't elephants stampeding around.
And there's obviously bushfire and whatnot, which obviously is a risk, but where we're situated, our block of land, we're almost smack bang in the middle of it at the front. So we have several hundred meters all around us. So bushfire won't be a problem. Plus we have nearly $500,000 worth of high pressure poly ring main. It's 1 kilometre going around the facility with about 12 firefighting units as well. I mean, the whole company is based upon redundancy. So it's built on that, obviously, based upon COVID hit us all, and we believe the only item that we'll be relying upon will be packaging if there's another pandemic, or because we have everything on site. As Kenneth explained, we're growing from seed. We're going to have all our own mother plants. We have all our own water. We'll have all our own power during the day.
And if the sun went out, we have mains power as redundant backup. And if that went out for some reason, we've got diesel generated backup. So
yeah, and intermittent batteries as well. So we've had plenty of time to run through everything and build it methodically, and we may be guilty of the project taking a little longer than first expected, but
it's going to finish a little better as a result.
100%. And we often say, out there, there's plenty of leaders laying in paddocks with arrows in their backs, wanting to build the fastest and the biggest and the best facility. And a lot of those people have failed. And we've been privileged and honoured to learn from people's mistakes. And we believe with where we are currently that we've mitigated as much as humanly possible.
Great. And in terms of pest control, is that something that you have taken into consideration?
Yeah, so pest control, integrated pest management, IPM, as they call it in the industry. Pests permeate cannabis. It just does. The number one solution for that is prevention. Honestly, maintaining sanitary protocols, managing your workflow, all of those things, they go way further than any other form of remediation. So we've taken every step that we possibly can to keep pests and build a facility that will keep pests out of our facility. And then our SOPs, our processes, our training, all of those things speak to that. So yeah, we'll be incorporating every level within that, except pesticide use. We don't spray the plants with anything. We will never spray the plants with anything. That's just not part of who we are, and not as a philosophy, not as a company, not as an environmental thing. So no, it will be pesticide free, but rest assured we have an extensive, sophisticated integrated pest management that's been developed over 25 years of growing myself and dealing with pests. Good
to know. So in terms of supply issues for patients, will Cannaponics be selling their own brand, or would they be a provider for existing brands?
It's interesting question.
Yeah, it's a good question. It is a good question. Look, currently our model is based upon B2B, but there'll be at some stage, obviously, where we'll be having our own unique products to market for sure. We're not going to lie.
If it made sense based on all the business relationships that we have and how the market is trending and whatnot, then of course we would as a positive business experience. But it's possible that the rollout stays B2B and everything is so good and smooth B2B. Yeah. Why would we ever?
And we just really want to, and people that are listening out there that are obviously medical patients, and Kenneth mentioned it earlier about, we want to be a go-to company, but we just want to have a consistent flow of good quality medicine out there without the stoppages, without the changing in and changing out of medicines, which all comes from importation and stock running out and hang-ups with import taxes and dollars and regulatory framework with getting it, tested and sprayed and quarantined and whatnot. We won't need any of that because it's all grown here and most of it's going to be staying here.
Look, I'm going to go blue sky for just 2 seconds. I'll be as quick as I possibly can. But imagine a world where we've gone to immediate replenishment for everything, right? If you go to Kmart and you take something off the shelf, when it gets scanned at the cash, that gives a signal to their warehouse that that item is now missing from the shelf. And in tomorrow's shipment, you need to put one of those into the truck so that it arrives tomorrow. So the next customer tomorrow looking for that item has it available to them. We're in a situation where patients are running out of their medicine from a specific profile. Imagine a system where we've actually got your plants planted for you so that your medicine is actually tracked from the day that it's cut as a clone. We know that 18 weeks out from that day, it's going to Chad Smith because that's Chad Smith's prescription that he loves. Now, with our advanced daily perpetual model, we can build that into reality. And we can also forecast changing such that if we get notes from his doctor that, no, he wants to change to a different prescription, we can actually, from the clone stage, adjust our harvesting and forecasting plans. So that's the type of way that we look at this from a big picture vision. That's where Cannaponics is going in the industry. And, again, if we're guilty of taking too much time, it's maybe guilty of trying to get it too right, but we're on the best path that we can possibly be on, and we're going to do some really, really exciting things in the space and looking forward to it.
Sounds amazing. So in terms of if you're going to be using packaging and if you're going to be packaging up your products, will this be done on site as well? And will this packaging be sourced locally?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure, definitely. We're a seed to sale company, so everything will be done on site on the facility. It's built purposely for that, and then of course, for us, it would be somewhat foolish of us to be claiming that we're Australian owned and Australian grown to then not support Australian companies in the process. So we'll be doing everything in our power to be supporting Australian manufacturing of packaging and to be utilising that. Look, it'd be great if someone was out there that could build a competitive packaging out of hemp, for example. That would be the whole plant use, and that's happening right now in the hemp space. That's a whole other topic.
I'm smiling and laughing because over the years that I've known Rod now, we've become like so in sync with each other. In fact, sometimes I'll call him and he'll be like, "Why'd you call me? I'm just like passing your house by the highway, like literally." But yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. And so the blue sky, 25 seconds of this topic is we are talking to hemp growers who are working on, and again, it's blue sky, but getting the technology in, which does exist and it exists in China, but bringing some of that technology into Australia, and maybe that's a joint venture down the road for Cannaponics, but producing our bottles out of hemp plastic. Hemp plastic has been talked about since, everybody that's a hemp aficionado is like, Henry Ford built a car out of hemp way back when. And, where does it happen? Where is it, where we come from then? Absolutely nowhere. So is it blue sky? 100% is blue sky. Are we working on it? 100% we're working on it. But could you imagine if all the stalks and roots and excess biomass from Cannaponics cannabis went into a producer making plastic for prescription bottles, and then we put our product in our product?
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. So in terms of your supply chain, will you be supplying to local vendors in and around Perth? And are you licensed to sell directly to pharmacies, or will you be going through another supply network?
Yeah, good question. So for us, obviously for people out there, I mean, you've got to get a prescription and then you've got to take to your pharmacy, and then obviously they'll dispense your drugs. That pharmacy buys it from a wholesaler, and a wholesaler buys it from a distributor. So we have the capabilities of being everything up until a wholesaler. So and depending, whether we team up with other wholesalers to get more of our product out to market and whatnot. But for us, being somewhat selfish, and that means looking after our shareholders, why wouldn't we own every cog in the chain? to the patient, so that we can control it all and making sure that there's continuity in supply and quality, and keeping costs within the company, benefiting not only patients but shareholders as well.
We've had a few questions around the location of your site, and a few people who've invested previously and are wondering if they could get a tour of the site.
Yeah, so it's a no, but you can probably find it in what town it's in. But yeah, we're not allowed to do tours through the facility.
We've actually talked about the fact that sometimes an aerial shot that we'll publish shows too much of the surrounding area, and so yeah, it's really out of our control. It's not something that they allow within the industry. So
because we're obviously governed by the Office of Drug Control, and we've got to keep the facility somewhat hidden from the public and whatnot. But so there'll be no tours, but apply for a job.
I was just gonna say that. The best way in is to apply for a job.
Yeah, or deliver some goods. There's obviously everybody that rocks up to deliver, windows, concrete. They all just get blown away by. Everyone has to have checks, and they sort of sign in. And we have to identify who they are, etc. So it's not that easy. I mean, maybe the laws may change one day, but for now, we can't do tours. No.
No, absolutely fair enough. At this stage, do you have any plans to develop a reconciliation action plan to acknowledge the local traditional owners? I know that you've had an Aboriginal flag in your video.
Yeah, for sure. We're currently in partnerships with so in Collie, the second we brought the block of land some 4 years ago, we approached the traditional owners, a guy called Joe Northover, who's the current Noongar leader down there, and we got the full blessing. We done a full smoking ceremony with all the leaves and whatnot, not of the cannabis plant, but of the traditional plants out there. It was fully blessed, and now we're we're developing a partnership with them to bring in some of their indigenous plants within the industry at some point in time. I mean, it's not happening straight away. But as far as the person on the videos, he's named Jub. He's another leader in the Collie region, and he's part of our team, 100%. Nearly everything we do out there, we've got to make a pledge that basically, or have a consultation that what we're doing is not going to affect. Because there's a creek it's a dry creek that runs through our property, which is the lion sleeping snake, and we can't build within sort of 50 meters around that dam. So no, we're very much in. Reconciliation. That's a good question, but we have very strong ties with the local Indigenous people, and we actually employ two right now. So for us, it's a big part of. And he's exactly what he wants to leave behind, a legacy, as much as any of us do. And for us to have a collaboration with the local Noongar tribe in Collie is ticks every box for us. So it's very proud to be involved in what we're doing, and allowing the youth of today to work in an industry that's got such deep-seated roots, and it's going to be around for a long time. This is a $100 billion global industry. We have a real chance to be at the forefront and build an industry here and keep it here in Australia.
Also, I think it's important just to note, in our meetings with the leaders, we've made it very clear, we don't want their blessing per se. We don't want to pay homage per se. We want to collaborate. We want to do things together, and really benefit the entire Indigenous nation that we're involved with. And if we can't do that, then maybe we won't. But it's more about collaboration and really doing some beneficial things and sharing some knowledge and bringing some attention to the people and ultimately benefiting them.
Yeah, sure. That sounds fantastic. Ken, I might actually ask you to stop sharing your screen so we can see your faces a little bit better. So you're not in such a small little position there. If you just go down the bottom and press stop sharing. That'll be perfect. So I've had a few more questions come up about return on investment. So I might not have answered that in the best way possible because it does seem a few people are a little bit confused. So through crowdsourced funding, future projected financials may not be provided because they may be considered misleading, as there might not be enough historical data to go off to actually have fully fledged forecasts in that sense. So that's something that you might not find through crowdsourced funding offer documents. However, there is a full financial section and there will be general purpose accounts that will be included in the Cannaponics offer document as per the ASIC guidelines and regulations. So hopefully that answers the question. So the return on investors is not something that can be promised at this stage, but you will be able to find a lot of advice on the Birchal website. There's a lot of sections on there that you can reach out to us as well. If you need any support, just email us at support@birchal.com and we can answer some more of those questions. So in terms of looking forward into the future, what are the key risks that Cannaponics has identified?
There are so many. Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's continuity, isn't it? I mean, we believe what we've built would mitigate a lot of risks. As far as in production or in manufacturing or in supply, I mean, it's quite a broad question. But as far as risks, as far as supply of utilities and whatnot, we believe we've taken care of that. The risks involved in an undersupply or oversupply, I mean, we believe that we're all over that with the current gap that's obviously going to be there for Australian grown product.
Look, in terms of risk, from the industry perspective, demand for cannabis isn't going anywhere. And somebody's got to produce it. Someone's got to produce it properly. It's something I can speak to directly, having done it for over 20 years now. There has never been a situation in my entire career or life involved in cannabis where I've had a gram to spare. Somebody always wants it. Somebody always needs it. It's always going to go somewhere. So how do we mitigate our risks? Well, there's risks. There's catastrophic failure if your facility shuts down. Well, how does your facility shut down? You run out of power. We've mitigated that 3 ways. We run out of water. Well, we've mitigated that a couple of ways. You run out of people. We have an advanced daily perpetual efficiency model such that very few people could run our facility if they had to, just because of the way we break down our tasks and whatnot. So yeah, I don't see a whole lot of risk to what we're doing. Our worst case scenario is, like I said, complete catastrophic failure. We've got water taken care of. We've got 165 acres of land, and we've got a beautiful Western Australian climate to grow in. And so even if we said we're going entirely outdoor because we had to, and we're going to grow from September to May, 165 acres produces a lot of cannabis. And again, we've got the experience to keep it consistent and keep it.
And there's always going to be challenges every day. It's business. It's a plant, and all we can do is place as many procedures in place to mitigate those hiccups that may come forth. But for sure, we're going to make mistakes 100%. Will there be things that we might not foresee? 100%. But we believe that with the experience that we have, the technology, and obviously the land and whatnot, that there should be few.
Perfect. I've had a few people ask, how can they apply for a job?
Oh, it's emails, yeah,
Info, yeah.
info at Cannaponics. Yep. It's the next sort of, we're putting people on every day. Obviously, you can imagine there's so much happening on site, but the next 3 months to 5 months we'll be gearing up substantially. So there's plenty of jobs available.
Brilliant. So obviously you're raising funds at the moment. Are you raising funds for people as well, as in to bring on more staff to the team?
No.
Fair enough. Are there any regulatory risks that you're concerned with? A few people have brought up that, in the future, laws might change for recreational cannabis to come into Australia.
Yeah.
Is this a key concern for you?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, and we don't talk about recreational because we're obviously licensed by the Office of Drug Control, okay, right? But if it was to go that way, it'll be similar to, people can, and I don't want to compare the two, alcohol and a medicine, but people can brew their own alcohol, but sales have never been more, you know what I mean? So if it goes recreational, it's still going to be a commercial driven industry where the government is going to want to make some money out of it. So licensed producers will benefit, we feel, and the end user will benefit as well too, because there's going to be people out there that want to know what they're buying. They want to know, where they can buy it from, and they want to make sure it's safe. So, I mean, if we plug in some of the numbers that went recreational, they're crazy, but we don't really want to go down that rabbit warren with anything to do with recreational whatsoever, but we believe that we'll be better than we are now.
I would just say anyone who sees recreation coming on board as a risk to the #1 producer of premium cannabis in Australia, it's a benefit, if anything. It's a massive plus on our end if it happens.
Awesome. Can you explain your current QMS system that meets the GMP and TGA compliance?
You got the wrong two people in the room for that one.
Yeah. It's we could go and get Lee.
That's okay. Whoever's asked that question, please feel free to reach out to the Cannaponics team via the Birchal platform. So if you go onto their profile, there is a message button and it will go to the Cannaponics team. I'm sure.
Repeat the question for me quickly, just so I can just repeat that question, please.
So sorry, I've just lost it.
It was based on the
Explain
QMS,
your
right?
current QMS system that meets GMP and
Yeah,
TGA.
so very, very simply, we're going to adopt the industry leading tracking software that tracks every metric within our facility. So we track all of our temperatures, all of our humidity, all of our whatever, all of the source of all of our products. It's all done through blockchain and whatever. So you can have transparency of every particulate of fertilizer that went into your plant, everybody who touched your plant, every nutrient or growth booster or whatever that was applied to your plant, where it went through trimming, what the sanitation SOPs are for all of that. So yes, we absolutely have the industry leading software in place to manage all of that. And then we have the industry leading woman running regulatory affairs. And so I point over there because her office is actually over that way. So yeah,
but it could be a loaded question if the person wants to email us, that they may be involved in
100%
systems, and
and maybe they want to satisfy that for us to the extent.
So in the future, how will you partner with distribution platforms to raise the profile of Cannaponics products over existing distribution of products from overseas?
Yeah, obviously through collaboration and communication. I mean, there's so many at the moment, isn't there? So so is the question more aimed at how are we going to let people know that the product's Australian and it's from Cannaponics? Is that where the question was going?
It sounded more like how are we going to gain traction with distributors and stuff, but cannabis is a unique animal. It's really not like any other thing on the planet. The way cannabis works is a community thing. And so when someone says, hey, I've got cannabis, people send out their people to go and try those and sample. And so the distributors will be all over what Cannaponics is doing and what we're offering. And when it's shown that it's a positive, we're high quality, we're in the right price range, depending on what item it is we're speaking about. Anyway,
the general patients know what they want.
Yeah,
and at the end of the day, if it's consistent and it's manufactured to a quality standard.
Having said that, between Rodney, the rest of our team, everybody we've spoken to within the industry here in Australia, all of the worldwide contacts I have in the cannabis industry, believe me, everybody knows what we're doing. Everybody's watching what we're doing, and Cannaponics cutting that ribbon and going into production is an event that is going to be applauded around the world. All the big players are looking at what we're doing, and there's a few backers that I've known for years that really want to see this perpetual system that I've been talking about for over a decade brought to fruition, and all the fantastic things that we're going to do. So gaining traction is probably the least of our concerns, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely fair enough. So we've had a few questions from people regarding the last raise versus this one. And I know you answered it a little bit earlier in the presentation about not doing any further raises. Is that still the case? And how are you certain that you won't require more funds further down the line before you launch the actual facility and start creating products?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so we know exactly over the next 5, call it 20 to 26 weeks, we know exactly what we're spending. Everything's locked in, from the electricians to the paneling to all the above. It's all locked in place. We know what amount of money we need to get to that, and we know how much money we need for working capital for the first 12 months. So and we know, as far as with the agreements and contracts in place, that that revenue will be here in 2025. So we don't believe, and we don't want to raise any more money after this whatsoever. We want to keep the shares at a place where they are, and obviously the less dilution is better for everybody. I'm a shareholder, Kenneth's a shareholder, all the staff are shareholders. So it's in our best interest to stick to our word. And like I said before, for people out there, we are guilty of the project taking longer. Absolutely. Won't deny that whatsoever.
Yeah, and I think it's important for everybody to understand, in our first raise, we set out to raise the 5 million that we went after, and we had funding options in place moving forward to take care of the other expenditures that we had on tap. Some of that funding didn't come through the way that it was supposed to come through. And so we had to make a decision to say, no, we're not going to take that money, because those aren't the terms that we negotiated to accept that money. And as a result, we have to replace that money that was going to income. And so we decided, you know what? We love our Birchal community. We love our community approach to cannabis. We love the Australian-owned approach that we're doing. And so, yeah, we have to account for the rest of those funds that we had. Why not go back and give an opportunity to the community to come back and participate with us again? Having said that, we're dealing with real big banks and other institutions, and we've got the numbers and boxes ticked and checked and whatnot. So yeah, this will be our last raise. We will take the rest of the money on the terms that have been presented to us. So I think that sort of explains, it's not a matter of we only needed the first round of Birchal. No, we were very clear. We needed the first round of Birchal, and we had money coming in from other sources. Not all of those sources played out to be who they professed to be, and we've had to make better strategic decisions for Cannaponics and for our investors to take money that is proper money, not money that isn't worth taking. So I hope that clears it up a little bit.
No, that was great. Thank you so much. So when you do start creating products, will they require TGA review and approval?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, any products that we're making will have the TGA involved. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And will any of those be certified organic?
Well, yeah, will be a big push for organic. There's been no chemicals on the block of land for the last 5 years. So our not that we know of any prior to that, but we know that we've owned the land for 4.5 years. So we'll be definitely going for an outdoor grow as certified organic. 100%, and then indoor as well too, if possible.
Yeah, it's weird.
It'll be tough for them.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at the regulations here, but there's a weird glitch in Canada where if you're a hydroponic operation, you can't be considered organic. And it was even goofy to the point where the regulator told me, oh, if you ran your hydroponic system by hand watering, instead of using a pump to pump the water through the feed lines, then you could be considered organic. But because you've got this electric pump and it's feeding it through the feed lines, for whatever reason, you can't be considered organic. So I don't know.
Right.
If we can use a sterile medium within the greenhouse and do a hydroponic crop that we can certify organic because the source of our nutrients are organic, 100% will do so. And if
Right.
we can't, we'll probably tell you why. We'll tell you exactly what's happening and why it's not organic.
That's brilliant. So in terms of your financials, will carbon tax credits be factored in at all?
Yeah, we're looking at that for sure, and there'll be a lot. Obviously, that's a question for the CFO, but we've had several conversations around that. So yeah, I mean, for us, we're looking at every avenue that benefits the company. So there'll be some large offsets if you've got 1 acre of a greenhouse with plants and you've got 10 acres outdoor. There's going to be some huge offsets for sure, and the fact that we're renewable and not relying on mains power. It's definitely something that we're looking into, and hopefully it'll run away for sure.
Yeah, and to all the investors out there who have side businesses and different experience and credentials in different fields, yes, we're interested in exploring anything that is good for Cannaponics, but we're interested in exploring that next year. Okay. Next year, we'll look into all that stuff. Let's get this thing built. Let's get into production and let's keep moving forward. There's a lot of, carbon offsets and different shiny toys that you can throw out there and play with and head down those paths. We're not going down any of those paths right now. We're finishing construction. We're getting into production. That's what we're all about.
Fantastic. I know that you guys had some time constraints today. Are you still wanting to keep going, or did you want to finish up here?
Look, I'm here for the people.
No, Kenneth can stay. 5 more minutes. Yeah, I can stay for, and then I'll leave Kenneth here with you.
Let's do 5 more minutes of questions.
We can have another webinar.
We'll wrap it up, and then we'll schedule another webinar.
Kind of feels like everybody is so keen to get involved, so I think another webinar would be fantastic.
Yeah, well, let's book that for sure. Next week. We want it next.
Fantastic.
Yep.
I'll get that one organized. So a few of you have been asking some questions around financials, so including share price and valuation. A lot of those will be released next week when the offer goes live, and more information will be in the offer document. So if you haven't already expressed interest in the campaign, I urge you to head to the Birchal website. So that's birchal.com, and register your interest so that you're the first to know when the offer does go live. At this stage, Rod and Ken, do you know what strains you'll be developing?
What I want to do is I want to leave Kenneth with that to answer that. I want to thank everybody for participating in the webinar. We will, I think at this point in time, book another one for next week. Appreciate everyone getting involved, and I do have to run, but I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Rod. We'll chat with you soon.
Thanks.
I'm also going to pop in the chat box for everybody the Cannaponics profile. So please feel free to sign up to the expression of interest and just register there so that you are kept up to date with any communications from Birchal and the team at Cannaponics. Also, when you're there, you will see a message button. So if you do want to reach the team, you are most welcome to reach out to them there. So thank you so much for that. All right, a few more. So if people
just answer that question on genetics.
Yeah, go for it, please.
That question. And I get to geek out on cannabis for a minute. So I'm going to go into some old world dinosaur verbiage with indica sativa, because at least from my generation of speaking, people know what those things mean. I know there's been research papers coming out saying, oh, we can't talk about indica and sativa. They're the same plant. They have the same compound. Whatever. They're not the same. That's just silliness. But so basically, if we took the multitude of spectrums, you can say there's indica and sativa. So let's never mind indica sativa. Let's say sedating, couch lock, pain relief sort of genetics, and then there's the euphoric, mind, up tempo, invigorating sort of genetics out there. So we're not specifically directed towards a given genetic at this time. What we're about is satisfying the entire spectrum of delivery. So everything from that most sedating of sedating strains to that most uplifting euphoric strain, everything in between, high THC, low THC, high CBD, low CBD, mid 2-to-1s, 1-to-1s. So within that, let's call it a 9 genetic spectrum. If you went from here to here, 9 different vertices of different medication covering a plethora of conditions, that's what we're going to have in our wheelhouse, in our greenhouse. And then we're going to talk to the various distributors and companies that we are B2B providing for. And of course, if something's in higher demand, we're going to grow what the people want us to grow. We're going to grow what sells, while at the same time, we will never shy away from innovating and pheno hunting and doing our own R&D in-house. So hopefully that satisfies. I know what people really want to hear is, oh, we're going to be doing green crack or this kush or that, whatever. No, we're not going to stick to any of those. And to be honest, those names that are out there are just nonsense because somebody's Bruce Banner is somebody else's Gorilla Glue, because somebody bought Bruce Banner and everybody in their neighborhood wanted Gorilla Glue. So they just switched the name, because that's what happens in the industry.
Yeah, that was such a great answer. And I think I heard you talking about this a little bit earlier, Ken. I love hearing about the passion and that you've got for the product. So it's awesome to have you as part of the team for sure. So in terms of future proofing, there's obviously going to be an increase in competition as consumption increases. Are Cannaponics, in terms of their production, aggressive enough to compete?
So we're aggressive enough to compete in the sense that our quality, again, there's 8,000 ways of amazingness, and there's so many quality strains out there, and there's lots of people on this planet who know how to grow cannabis. But I'm very good at it myself. And our Cannaponics team is outstanding, and our assets are ridiculous. So, our climate controlled greenhouse, our Western Australian sunshine, all of the bells and whistles that we have attached, plus our methodology. So we're going to be able to compete on quality. We're going to be able to compete on cost. But then we are also looking towards dose and delivery, because that's the next thing. It's funny, everybody still wants to talk about genetics as if it's some weird, crazy, magical thing. Everybody has access to just about every genetic on the planet. And if they don't, I feel bad for them, because it's really just a bunch of phone calls and some internet searching. I do know a lot of these people because I came up through the ranks with a lot of these people, and a lot of these companies became legal while I was in the industry already working with these people. So we can acquire whatever genetic we want to. So we're future-proofed in that sense. We also know how to crossbreed, manipulate genes to produce what it is we want to. We're very good pheno hunters. But beyond that, the industry is really moving towards dose and delivery. So what spectrum are you offering? And that's where we get into, you've probably heard us say cannabis mining, and we've been advised to maybe tone down what we're talking about with cannabis mining, but pulling out a variety of compounds, mixing them in the right way based on research done directly with patients and or clinical trials, and then innovative delivery through teas and soup and topicals and sublingual things and transdermal patches and all kinds of exciting things that, yes, are growing on in North America like crazy. But we're gonna take everything out of that plant that we can. We're gonna be taking out ice water extraction. We're gonna do dry sieve extraction. We'll have live rosin. We'll have custom blended stuff. We're talking about doing those joint ventures with the Indigenous community in Australia and bringing in some of that Indigenous medicine, combining that to the extent that it relates well with certain cannabinoids and certain terpenes and different profiles and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, look, you can hear it. I've been 22 years underground growing by myself in the basement. All of these things have been on our target. I started a 49 SKU company with my brother, North American Hemp Co. 49 SKUs of personal care products, all using the benefits of certified organic hemp seed oil. The sky really is the limit, and I could dedicate hours upon hours of blue sky and where we're going with delivery systems and devices and vape machines and combining stuff. Anyway, it's really off the charts, but the simple answer is, yeah, I don't see a reason why we can't compete worldwide. We always have, and there's no reason why we always won't.
So will there be an export market for Cannaponics? Will you
There
be?
already is. There's a massive export market. Yeah. Germany's huge. They're consuming cannabis at rates like unforeseen. Most people don't realize. Canada, although it's been legal for a long time, very small population, smaller population than the state of California in the US. But also with the US reclassifying cannabis and starting to get their ducks in a row and get their things in order, America is going to become a massive market. Like I said, Asia's waking up. China, if China were just to decide to legalize CBD and everybody spent, I think it's 5% of this population spent $100 a year, you're looking at a multi-billion-dollar industry right there. And we all know if there's a real medical patient using medicinal cannabis, it's not $100 a year. It's much more than that they're spending. So 5% of the population at $100 a year is in the billions already in China. So, and then we haven't even talked about extracting those compounds, like we said, like the non-psychoactive compounds like CBD and CBG, those aren't far away from being descheduled in most countries. Canada's working on a project for it. So that it can go into natural health products. So again, that's where somebody like Blackmore's or Jameson or Swiss Herbal, I don't know what companies you guys are all familiar with, but they all do like vitamins and supplements and the ginkgo bilobas and echinacea and different things like that. Imagine those products combined with CBD. Imagine those products combined with CBG. You know, again, the non-psychoactive compounds that again will just become natural health products. So putting it into pet food. Pet food's an $85 billion industry in the United States. Imagine we can get CBD, CBG into pet food. Color cosmetic and HBA. We're in the hundreds of billions of dollars now. Imagine putting those compounds into those things. So yeah, I mean, with all of our life experience, all the connections we have, the length and breadth of stay in the cannabis industry, it's really unbelievable what we can do. So yeah, no fears of competitive.
Fantastic. So we've got quite a few more questions, but I know that we are out of time at the moment. So there's been a few questions around the share price. This will be released next week when the offer goes live. If anybody did miss the this unbelievable presentation, and thank you for everybody who's asked so many fantastic questions, you will be able to rewatch this. We will be uploading it and sending it around. But because there has been such a huge level of input today, we will organise a second webinar. So keep your eyes peeled if you haven't already expressed interest in the campaign. I've popped the link in the chat box. So please head on over to the Cannaponics profile and express interest. The offer will be going live next week. So keep your eyes peeled on your inbox and your phones if you have popped your phone number in when you've expressed interest. And we look forward to everybody coming on board as investors next week. Thank you so much, Ken, for your time. Really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. We are, you know, very open company. We're not hiding from anybody. If you have your questions, we're happy to hear them. I can talk cannabis with anybody for as long as anybody wants to. It's really what I do. I'm a simple human being. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a baseball fan, and I love cannabis. I dedicated my life to helping people, whether that's medical patients suffering from cancer, multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia, coaching kids in sports, you know, bringing up, I've got 4 kids of my own. We homeschooled a couple of them for a while. You know, just doing good in the world. That's what we're all about. And we'll schedule another webinar. We'll answer all of these questions, but I couldn't be more grateful for the support that we're getting from the Australian community. I couldn't be more grateful for the welcoming myself and my family have experienced here. It's a fantastic place to live. The weather is sick. It really is good. But the people are even better. Couldn't be happier to be here. Couldn't be happier to be on this project. And yeah, thanks for everybody for tuning in, asking your questions and getting involved.
Thank
And thanks
you
for
so
your
much,
help,
Ken.
Emily. Thanks for doing this.
Appreciate it. Take care, everybody.
All right. See you guys.